Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic. Hey shy people, what is your worst experience? Going to a crowded party with one friend who really wanted to drag you along but then disappears. Where my damn panic button? Frantic button mashing. And there is no dog. And no one is texting you and your phone is dry AF. It should be mandatory to have a dog at every party as a safety net for introverts. Like having non-alcoholic drinks for the teetotalers. My outgoing mother announcing to everyone how shy I am. Got one better. My outgoing mother announcing to everyone that I must be cold as she dead stares at my chest. She did this during my teenage years. As a shy, anxiety-ridden teenage girl, holy fuck. Edit, thank you to the Redditors that gave awards. It was very kind of you. I am sorry that anyone else had to deal with a mother like mine. I hope you all are doing good in life despite them. My mom asking me in a crowded car full of my classmates if I needed her help learning how to shower. In my high school Spanish class, some kid screamed, "Do you ever talk at me?" in front of the entire class. Super embarrassing at the time, but hilarious to look back on. Edit, for those curious, I said nothing in response. If only I could go back in time. Had a similar incident in freshman science class in high school, hardly ever talked and I guess the teacher somehow got it in her head that I was mute. She came up to me early one morning just before class with a sign language interpreter and asked if I needed participating in class. Looked her dead in the eye and said I can talk. She turned about 7 different shades of red before telling the interpreter they wouldn't be needed. Poor soul was just trying to help. Had a moment like this when I was a kid. I'm not shy, but if I have nothing to say to you, I won't. Anyway, when I was 11 I was awarded the title of quietest camper, and when I got up to get my shitty award, everyone was chanting talk. 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 As if they didn't have the opportunity of the entire summer to take the time to hear what I had to say. Just curious, what did you talk about when you received it? Oof, those crappy non-awards can be spirit-crushing when you're a kid. I was in a group therapy session as a kid, like maybe 14. I really had to go to the bathroom but we weren't allowed to during the session. I was sorta balled up in the center of the room, not like emotional or anything, just sitting comfortably hugging my knees cause all the spots on the couch were taken. Some girl had just finished telling a story of her abuse. She was crying and there was no other sound. Was sort of that awkward but respectful silence that fills the space when you wanna be supportive but saying anything at all would somehow seem inconsiderate. It was into this yawning void that I farted. I knew it was coming. I'd been staving off the gurgling in my stomach for some time now. I'd broken into a sweat already with the sheer effort of will to delay the inevitable. It was no use. I tried to discreetly shift my weight and maybe muffle the sound. I failed. This was neither silent nor deadly. It effortlessly shattered the silence like sledgehammer vs a Christmas ornament. Another moment of silence swallowed the sound, but it was a void of disbelief. Then some kid yelled as loud as they could. Jen farted. And the entire room collapsed into helpless laughter while I promptly turned to stone and died on the spot. Hopefully it gave the crying girl a giggle too. It actually did. It's pretty hard not to give in to the absurdity of the moment. You know, if you're not the one who farted anyways. I am a bit shy when first meeting people, so after getting to know me, I often hear, "When I first met you, I thought you were such a bitch." Cool. I get told that I seem intimidating, which I always find bizarre. When you don't talk, they don't know about you, what you like to do, where you're from, etc. So you become an unapproachable unknown. When you talk and people say things like, "Oh, I didn't know you could talk," or "This is the first time I hear you talking." In the same vein as this, when I was a shy kid instead of a shy adult, I'd spend quite a while in my bedroom in order to get personal space away from my family, who are all chatterboxes. Almost every time I finally came out into the family room for a little bit of socializing, everyone would always make a huge deal of seeing me. "I didn't even know you were here. Wow, she's socializing. She's out of her cave." And so many other things, always said so derisively. Always made me just want to go back into my room to hide. This is exactly why when I see my new stepsister, 13, come out of her room, I tell her it's nice to see her and ask her what she wants to do. She always ends up thanking me for spending time with her, but I always thank her back because she's legitimately one of my closest friends. Edit, thank you for the wholesome award. Edit 2, holy shit, this is the most awards I've ever gotten. Please take this as an example and treat your step-siblings like they're your actual siblings. Or better. As a kid my shyness was crippling. I got locked in the toilet in school, started yelling / crying, and the teacher had to remove the lock to get me out. The whole class was standing behind him, looking at me. Geez, I thought that stuff only happened in the movies. Hope you're doing well. Edit, this is the most upvotes I've ever gotten. I didn't think I was saying anything important enough, but thanks. Definitely not only a movie thing, haha. I experienced something similar, but some mean kids manipulated the lock when I was inside and that's why I got stuck. Super traumatic. I hated my childhood. I was in elementary and took a bus home each day. I missed my stop and I was so terribly shy and quiet the bus driver didn't hear me. He went on to pick up high school students and didn't notice I was still on the bus. The high school students were so sweet and kind. They alerted the bus driver and he took me home. My mom was freaking out by the time I got home. Happened to me too. Fucking wackiest shit I ever experienced. I expected these older kids to be dicks, then they're the nicest folks ever. Yeah, learn it much later in life looking back. Kids in middle school are pretty much the worst group of beings alive. They don't exactly mean to be and not all of them are, but it's so common for these 12 to 30-year-olds to be right in that spot where they don't quite fucking understand how horrible they actually are being, and people just brush it off as them being kids. In elementary school, everyone's loud and screaming and running around, just doing their best to not shit themselves. Middle school is that I'm a fucking sociopath for a few years while I learn what the hell empathy is. And then you hit high school where you get the typical teen rebellious phase, learning who they want to be. Which I am sure is a nightmare for parents, but when I was in high school, some kids were just assholes who liked to put down others. But I have also seen those same kids get one step away from a full-out ass beating because some actually nice high school dude realized the shit wasn't okay. I had a less than happy middle school life, so I'm a bit jaded here. But the amount of abuse and bullying and pure sociopathic behavior is nuts. Starts college, doesn't make friends, lockdown, shit's fucked. I'm 3 years into out-of-state college with no friends there. Wrecks my mental state every time I go back. The worst part is when you finally gather the courage to try to talk to people about something you know they are interested in and they only give one-word answers back. I made the mistake of going to a commuter college, so people literally only go to class and go home. Right when I started finding clubs and social things to go to, COVID hits. And don't even get me started on this freshman communities thing I just found out about but can't do. Putting a year's worth of confidence into a job interview, just to be the quiet one after you get the job. The anxiety, dude. It's always frustrating as hell. Your first few weeks while getting comfortable with everyone, you just keep asking yourself, if I could interview so well, why the hell is it taking so long to be able to talk with my co-workers? And it gets worse if when you work in a small team with long shifts and not much to do during downtimes. Like being a barista. Went to a party. Guy I've never met walks up to me, shakes my hand, and says, "Hello, what's your name? Where were you born? Where will you die? What's in between?" Not letting go of my hand the whole time. I completely locked up, had no idea what to say. "Oh, okay. My name's John. I was born in Milwaukee. Judging by this conversation, I'm probably going to die at this party and the in-between will be you murdering me. Nice to meet you." To be fair, that guy sounds a bit much. I think with a lot of these out there lines, timing is everything. That's either a fun party opener or a really off-putting one. Or maybe it's cocaine. That would also explain that type of line. My shy buddy hated ordering coffee at the Starbucks in the Barnes & Noble bookstore. They cannot accept your order and take your money. They had about 6 questions they have to ask first. She couldn't stand it. I'd like a medium coffee. Them. Do you want light roast or dark roast? We don't have medium, we have tall. Okay. Do you need space for cream? What's your name? Are you part of the bookstore club? Are you part of the Starbucks points? I'm not sure if I'm remembering it right, but I think at least once she panicked and walked away mid-interrogation. It's worst when English is not your first language. I was in California visiting my brother and we stopped at a Starbucks and he asked me to get him a coffee. The person taking the order asked me what I wanted and I told her. She didn't understand my accent. I tried a few times. Then my brother came back and she looked at him and asked if I speak English. I'm from England. I was at a friend's house. His parents used to scare me. The dad had a thick Asian accent and due to my nerves, I guess I wasn't paying attention. Didn't realize the dad was full on asking how I was, and I just stood there awkwardly. I thought he was speaking to his son in Cantonese. I still think about this. I never corrected my boss when she mixed up my name on the first day. I had already introduced myself to some people by my real name. The other half of people my boss introduced me to, called me another. I felt too shy to correct her in front of the group. It just led to more awkward conversations, as the two names were completely different. I have a bar that I used to go to, in the before times, where I would play darts with some friends. It's a small bar so the one bartender learned most people's names. It was after a few weeks that I realized that he was calling me the wrong name. I thought the previous times he had been talking to someone else. It's been too long now, so I won't correct him. No, now's the perfect time to correct him. It's been a while, so he'll probably think he forgot in the interim, rather than has been wrong the whole time. If he asks, just gaslight him. You used to get my name right. Gaslighting is always okay. Per second.